Because everybody, I thought Justin was stuck up as usual.
Everybody thought that?
Everybody
Come on, man.
stuck up. Everybody thinks you're stuck up.
I'm just quiet, man.
And because he's quiet.
Yeah, I ain't the, hug you, do all that. That ain't me.
And I wasn't looking for that.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Definitely ain't looking for the spotlight.
Yeah. And I think that's what it.
Total opposite of the other two.
If you watch this, it's not the views of opinions. Not
The views of opinions are not represented by Justin.
I appreciate y'all, man, for coming to wrap it up with me, man, so we can talk about some different things. Have my fellas here. We go back. We were just talking about that. Me and Daniel go back.
Almost 20 years.
20 years. Me and DC.
Same episode.
17.
And G.
Probably the same time, 17. I don't know, you might have been at college in 04?
Yeah, I was at college in 04.
Yeah, so it might have been a couple years after that.
Yeah.
That's when I went to college. People forgot about me. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't know I existed. It's like, man.
Well, I remember seeing you before you went off to college.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the funny thing. I had no idea who your parents were.
See?
What?
And the funny thing is, growing up...
You didn't know that he was their son.
Right. And the
Gotcha.
funny thing, growing up, I didn't know he existed. I've been knowing Bishop, Pastor Carolyn, Tez, and Julian forever. Never knew Justin existed at all.
Yeah.
And so I think my first memory of you is being at the church, and you was like in the back, and I was like, who is this guy? You had your earrings in.
Yeah.
And you
All
just
6 of them.
Damn. But you was like standing in the back in the center aisle, just kind of observing stuff going on, and that's like my first memory of you. But I don't think I realized, actually, we probably didn't get to know each other until like you actually went off to college, like when you would come back sometime and stuff like that. I remember when you started your foundation.
Yeah.
So, but
me and Carrillo started that. That lasted about 4 weeks. We did like
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, that's why.
I don't remember that
We
at all.
got 2 T-shirts printed, and then we did like a food drive where her grandmother was making dinners, and we was like taking them to barbershops and stuff to raise money and all that.
What was the name of the foundation?
It was called Push Foundation.
Oh, okay, yeah. Was it an acronym or was it just, no, it was just PUSH, right?
I don't even remember. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, Tanisha. But no, it was Push something. I don't know. But yeah, we did that. But G, so, I mean, I know we're all like connected through church, right? I mean, that's kind of where it started, but it blossomed far from that. So we're not just like church guys who just, we hang out outside. Definitely brothers. And shout out to Ewalk in Atlanta and David in DC. But G, your memory, man, like how long ago was it that you came to the church?
I came in 2004 with currently my wife now. She took me to church, and it was cool. It was definitely something that I needed at the time. I was 18, 19, coming from college, not knowing what I wanted to do in my life. Just needed some type of direction, and it just felt like I was just comfortable there, and just it was real cool. A lot of men around, something different, and just a college dropout. So it was something different for me. I just needed some direction.
Yeah. So I forgot how did we connect with you though? Or at least how did I connect with you? Was it through SOG?
It was through SOG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw DC in the hallway one time. He was like, "You coming to the meeting? You invited to this mentoring?" I was like, "For real?" And then that's when you came up to me and was like, "Yeah, we having a meeting." So yeah.
So that's what I want to know. How did you? Because I know you kind of invited us all to that initial meeting.
Yeah.
But how did you come up with the fellas to even to invite to the meeting? Like, okay, him, and him.
Yeah. So for those, like SOG stands for Society of Gentlemen. So it was a mentoring program for middle and high school guys. And it was my dad that approached me about that. And he was like, we need to do something for these young guys at the church, some type of mentoring or something. and like he does most stuff, he was just like, hey, I need you to figure it out and just kind of get it. So I was just thinking, you know what I mean? And I'm like looking, I knew some of the guys, knew DC already, knew Daniel. I'm like, yeah, they'd be cool. Of course, David at the time was there. You had Eric was there, and you. So I'm like, I think I got it. So I think at some type of way, it was like me coming up to each one of y'all. Maybe one of y'all reached out to the other, but we had that first meeting, man. And I think from there, which is crazy, I think that was just like the initial meeting, us talking about the problems that we saw with young guys, and then it was like, well, we're the solution, so let's do it. So then we started that, and we were running strong for some years, man. We put some years into that program. That was like, you were the only one that was married. Were you married? Yeah, you were married. Yeah. So you was the only one that was married. So none of us was married then. It seems like ages ago, man.
It was, I think we put 10 years into it. Probably.
Yeah, man.
We had a good run.
Yeah, we did. We did, because I think 2009 was when we had our first actual
Meeting.
meeting with the kids. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was like, it was like a legit program. That wasn't something like that we just did every now and then. I mean, we structured that joker and
meeting every Thursday.
Yeah. It was like we was all in. We put a lot of time into that. So, let me ask you, G, like the program, since I kind of explained to everybody, like, listen, so you know what it is. But like, what is one of your memories that you have of the program?
I enjoyed just like getting together with different men and just talking about, because we was all going through certain things in our lives, so just talking with everybody. But some specific that really hit me with one of the young men, I talk about it all the time. It's with DeMario Hood. So a lot of times you get young men who don't have their father or whatever in their lives. And DeMario, for instance, he had his mom and his dad. So I just used to look at him like, man, like, it's really nothing we could do because he has his dad. So it was one time after, I don't know what we was doing, but I saw him in the hallway. I was like, man, you doing a good job. And he was like, man, I appreciate it. Just keep doing what you're doing. But then the next week, he ended up getting killed. So it like changed DeMario's whole circumstance. You know what I'm saying? So I always remember, like, your life can change in 1 minute. Like, so that's the one thing that I always think about. Like, just making sure that we stay connected with the young men, because you never know what they're going through. So that was one of my experiences.
What experience that you had, DC?
I think one of my first memories of, like, especially like I think, well, to start off, the night we all initially met, that was like very enlightening, just to hear everybody's background stories of what they've been through, where they come from, how we got to where we were at that particular point in time. And then from there, I think like the first session I remember with the mentees was like, the first one that I remember was like we did on the parking lot, we was like working on cars, changing tires and stuff like that. And then you look at like those pictures of like the cats then, they were like so small and so young.
We was too.
Yeah, we were too. You're right, we were too. But it's just like, I mean, those cats are like grown now.
With families.
Right, with families.
Insane.
And so it's just, that's like my first actual memory of that. But I think, but definitely the first night we all met was powerful, just to learn everybody's story and learn so much about each other. And I think that was like the formation of the bond. That it was just more than just some cats getting together to do a mentorship. We really bonded into like actual brothers. And I think that's part of the reason why the mentoring program was so successful too.
Yeah.
Yep.
You, Porter?
It's not. There's not necessarily like one. It's just the whole program as a whole. Like just every session that we had, I feel like was impactful, and like even the synergy that we had as a group. So even whenever we didn't have anything planned for, not necessarily not planned, but when we just let, I guess, the Holy Ghost flow whenever we were in our sessions with the kids, it felt like we were actually getting through to them. And like just being able to be with with the kids and having that camaraderie and just seeing the kids interact with each other and them having fun with each other, and then just being that change that I wanted to see. That's like my fondest memory about SOG is just the fact that we saw something that needed to be done and we did something about it and not just talking about it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know if I have like I'm kind of like you. I don't know if I have like one like distinct memory that kind of like sticks out as like this is it. I think for me it was just the commitment of everybody. I mean, I just remember that our whole concept was not to save the world, or it's just kind of like, hey, if we can get a group of guys, and of course it started with kind of a young group of guys that went to the church, but then we was like, man, we gotta cast this net kind of further than that, you know what I mean? So we start making connections and networking with people, and I just remember feeling like I know this can be something, right? And I felt that because of us. Like I was like, man, like you talked about like the stories being I was like, this could be something. Because I was like, all of us in our different walks, me, preacher's kid, both parents, Huxtable family, whatever you want to call it, you know what I mean? Daniel being single parent, Gary being single parent, having a father that's incarcerated, DC being a single father, it was just kind of like this kind of nucleus of, hey man, this is like about as real rounded as it can get as far as to be able to give. And I think, one of the guys that I remember, won't say his name, but it was a young guy who, he didn't go to the church, but he came to the program. And it was through the connection of somebody else, because I remember at some point it was just like everybody kind of got a hold to the program. And we just people start reaching out, like, cause it's, mentoring is something that's like so needed. And instead of being kind of like a barbershop type of feel where we say, oh, this wrong and ain't, it's like we're actually trying to offer a solution. But I just remember that guy kind of reaching out and me being able to spend time with him and kind of get him involved in the mentoring program. And he talked about things like changing tires. Like a lot of guys did not know how to change a tire before the mentoring program. Right. And, like a lot of parents or mothers would say, thank you so much because, this happened. A lot of guys said we did like cooking sessions. Did that to teach the guys how to cook. I mean, I can't, but I'm glad I was involved in helping them figure out how to do it. So, I mean, you did that. I think one of the first kind of thing we did that I remember, because I think that was kind of like the first thing we did to like take pictures and do all that, was teach them how to tie a tie. That's the first thing I remember, and I remember how impactful like that was to see those guys putting on like some of them just like, man, what is a tie? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
when are going to use it?
I think that was pretty kind of pretty legit there, man. But that's just that's what made me stick and kind of get involved in the program.
I mean, it's definitely seeing the impact that we had on the younger cats. The camaraderie between us, that definitely helped. I mean, at the time you said being a single parent, raising a daughter on my own, and so not really. And then growing up in a single parent household with a mother and a sister, having a chance to actually share my experiences with some other cats, and especially some younger cats, to help impact them, to help them not make the same mistakes that I've made. Just wanting to see somebody do something better with their life at a younger age to set them up for excellence a lot sooner. And then because when you're growing up a single parent household, no male in the household, you're trying to figure stuff out on your own a lot of times. And so you don't know what to do or how to act or where to go and different things like that. But just to be able to take that time out and show a younger guy, okay, this is what you do in this situation. Or had those one-on-one talks that, when they fight, they can't talk to a parent, but they feel close enough to talk to you. To me, that was huge. Definitely didn't take that for granted either, because, the fact that you trust me with whatever you're going through right now, and you see something in me to say, hey, can I talk to you about this? Exactly. I'm dealing with this at school. I mean, that was huge. So I didn't want to push them to the side, but at the same time, I didn't want to let them down. Right. I wanted to be a light to them. I wanted to be an open door for them. I wanted to do whatever I could to help make life easier for them. And so, I mean, that was the thing that kept me going and kept me sticking with the program.
Even with you talking about just being an impact in their lives, I remember like going on those different college tours. Like,
Yeah.
doing that was
man.
that was amazing, man. Cause even as a kid, I never went on a college tour. So for them to have the opportunity to go to KU and K State, the colleges that y'all went to, I feel like that was good. So it was like y'all was. What y'all been through in college, it helped them as well, just showing them something different from being in that same environment. It's like we took them out of the city and showed them a different way.
Right.
Like you can go to college, it's different experiences out here.
There's more to it than
It's
just
more
your
to it.
neighborhood.
Yeah. And a lot of those kids, they going to MU, they going to K State, they going to KU.
Yep.
So that's what I remember.
That's
And it's funny you said. I remember when we went to KU. Even though KU was just like 30 minutes from here, but it was. I remember one kid was saying, "Man, I didn't even know nothing about this." To myself, and in my mind, I'm thinking, growing up as a kid, I always knew about KU, but growing up with my mom through church, we traveled around just the area and the state a lot. So a lot of things I was exposed to, but you realize that not a lot of younger cats, they don't have that access to get out and get exposed to things. And so just like you said, going just up the street to KU, it was like, oh man, this is what it really can be like. And so just opening them up to a whole new way of life, or a whole new way of thinking, that was huge. And I enjoyed doing stuff like that.
I think K-State was the only one where we had an actual tour guide, you know what I'm saying? But just being able for them just to walk and see different buildings, freestanding buildings that are stories tall and not just your liquor store, your cash checking place, your Family Dollar and stuff like that. They saw these whole old buildings that had been standing for a long time, and it was cleaner, and you know what I'm saying. It's just being able to see that and seeing, wow, there's life outside of Wanda, there's life outside of KCMO. Is huge, and it's like and for me, what kept me with sticking with the program is, of course, the camaraderie with you guys, and also it helped me keep myself accountable. Like, it let me know that I have people looking up to me, and I have to keep the standard up. So I can't be out here going, I can't be in these streets doing crazy stuff, and I can't be, womanizing and just living a life contrary to what we were preaching, because all it takes is for one kid to see me out here disrespecting a woman or me, not saying nothing's wrong with drinking and stuff like that, but all it took for them to see me at the liquor store and see me drunk or something like that, and they're like, oh, this dude ain't living this life, so all credibility is gone. So this program helped me stay accountable to myself, and help me stay, accountable to with my relationship with God, as well. And also, it's just growing up I was the only child, so I always wanted a big brother, and so this was my opportunity to be a big brother for somebody else. And even though I didn't, I grew up without a dad and stuff like that, God was so good to me to where I always had a strong male presence in my life, and a lot of these kids don't have that. And so me being able to give that to a kid like me who's going through this life, and in the area we grew up in, it's like giving them a leg up, you know what I mean, and showing them that there's another way.
Like I'm extracting from what each person said, and I think exposure is a key word, right? I think for any of us in general, no matter what age you are, but especially at the what I call the age where they can be molded and kind of shaped, is the exposure. And of course I graduated from K-State, and out of all the college tours, of course I think K-State was the best because it's just the best campus.
It wasn't. KU was the best. And I did the tour guide for KU. So
actually, I think after the KU tour, a few guys was like, I don't even want to go to college. I remember talking to them like, bro. I was like, man, don't make that decision based off of, you know what I mean? I
false.
also think
no,
that
it was false. It was false.
Yeah, it was just, but anyway, what I was saying about the exposure, I just think that's so important, because it's not like you have to go to college, right? That's an opportunity. Yeah. That's an opportunity there. I would encourage it, but there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of, people have different opinions about college. It's a scam, student loans and all of that. But I will say, in this day and age, it's just about being the best at what you can be.
Exactly.
Right. So if you do freelance, whatever, just be the best at what you do. Right. You're in the age of YouTube. You're in the age of so much. You can learn pretty much, man, I fixed my little small. It's smaller to some people, but garbage disposal was messing up. And instead of like calling a plumber, dude, I pulled up a whole bunch of YouTube videos, looked at it, fixed it.
Reset.
I was like, I'm legit, man. I went and bought a tool belt from Lowe's after that. I was like, I'm about to start calling people like charging right.
Overton's from Unlimited.
Like, I'm gonna fix your disposal. Your lights may not work after it, but I'm gonna fix it. Nah, man. But it's just like doing, you know what I mean, what you could do. But I think the exposure to having guys that can expose you to different things, a man. And I think that's important. Not discounting ladies at all.
Right.
Not discounting that, but I think having a man to show you how to change a tire hits different. Having a man to take you to a college camp and hits different, especially when dealing with young boys. Let me make sure I clarify that. But you know, I think that was the biggest thing, if anything. And it, you know, when our lives kind of took, and you fast forward all these years, and I would love to kind of be still full throttle today. But we always knew it would come a time, and we talked about that.
Unfortunately.
Like we tried to, you know, do different things to kind of have a next generation of SOG leaders, but we knew it would come a time where that chapter would be closed, just because of life. You know what I mean? That's everybody been married, kids, new kids, you know, and it's just like, man, we just couldn't like keep it up like we wanted to. But even like today, my thing is I may not have a program, but there's always one guy that I can keep in touch with and reach out to. You know what I mean? It's like if we can just, it's like personally, my thing is if I could just impact the one, like one or two. I don't need 10 or 20. I can't keep up with 10 or 20.
Right.
But just give me 1 and 2. And maybe that 1 or 2, when they get older, will impact somebody else. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm not trying to position myself in the place of anybody's father or anything like that, whether I'm a big brother, where I'm just a friend to talk to. But if I can put some type of glimmer in a young guy's head to say, hey, I want what he got, or I think college is cool because of you, I don't know. It's just if I can talk them off a ledge when they're about to make a bad decision, or we talked about all the time, if you know, some of the young guys that we mentored, you know, we'll never know, maybe one day they were about to do something and they heard one of our voices be like, come on, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Don't do that. So it's just those seeds that I think is important for men to sow into younger men, and we may not ever see the full tree or the full fruit of that, but to know that we sowed that seed, I think is important.
And that's so, and it's rewarding when you have one of the young men, you know, come back and talk to you, because that happened to me last year. One of the members of SOG hit me up on Facebook, and we talked for like a couple hours. He was just going over his life and what was going on, and he was just like, yeah, I just remember I could talk to you and you know, about everything. I think he was a little bit drunk, but at the same time, but something I said to him, like you said, imprinted on him, and he said, I can call Daniel, and I can talk to him about whatever's going on. I know that there's not going to be any judgment, and that I trust that he's going to, you know, point me in the right direction, and that's. And that felt good to me. You know what I'm saying? It felt good that someone thought of me to, you know, say, hey, this is what's going on with me. And it wasn't like he was looking for any advice, but he just wanted someone. He just needed someone to talk to, and someone to listen to him. And that's huge. And I always remember thinking about that with the program. It's not about the numbers, because. And I think we probably could have done a better job of recording how many kids actually came to the program. But I know for a fact that we saw at least 100 kids doing at least 100 kids during that time, and having one reach out and one in a heart to heart. That means that's mission accomplished for me.
Yeah, even with that exposure, it's like. Some of the kids might have had a bad role model or something like that.
Facts.
So it's like we kind of lived out that same example. Even with you, you actually did that stuff. You went to college. They saw you at 23, 24 driving a Benz. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
get it right.
You had 2 of them. So for them to see a young man, like we in your house now, like you actually lived what you was talking about. So for them to see that type of exposure and seeing other men, like, let's say practice what you preach or whatever, but some people don't do that. So I'm not gonna listen to somebody if they not doing what they telling me to do.
Right.
So I think that exposure, which you was talking about, it really helped because we actually lived that life and not with and wasn't just talking to them about certain things. So
This generation coming up, and that generation, they want to see more than you can say.
Right.
It's like, when we were growing up, the Lord's gonna make a way, and it's like, but we still living like crap. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What good is the Lord doing for my family if we still poor? You know what I'm saying? But like G was saying, you having a nice car, David having a nice car, you having a nice car, they can see that, okay, so you can live a good life and you can follow Christ and you can still be successful and have these nice things that we all want. And we gotta stop fronting and stop acting like, we don't want nice things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. For instance, wealth of the wicked is laid up for the righteous, right? I get that, but go get it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, we it's like pull stuff down. I'm not making mockery. Y'all know me. It's just, I can seem like I'm anti-church sometimes, and I'm not. It's just, I think there's certain laws of demand, supply, whatever you want to call it, where it's just kind of like, let me go get it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You
It's
gotta
like,
deal in reality.
Yeah.
like,
You gotta deal in reality.
it's like, let me go get it. Let me pray, but let me go get it.
Faith
Like, I
without
gotta
works
go
is
get it.
dead.
So, and I think, that's the, talking about the young guys, is just having and seeing guys in front of them that are going after it, right? So whether that's, everybody's not an entrepreneur, everybody's not, you know what I mean? Some people are entrepreneurs, but they got the 9 to 5 that they're doing, like me and all of that, but it's just like, just to go get it, like to steady, and it's so cliche, go after the bag and all that. Everybody got their different things, but it's like, do that, but be family oriented at the same time, right? And when I look at, like, in what ways am I wealthy, am I rich? It's like, I have a wife, have a daughter now, which is a blessing. That's a kind of a whole nother testimony in itself, that we have her, but we're rich because we have family, right?
Yeah.
I look at the example set from DC, like he was a prime example for me. With Mina, right? You talked about 1 year old and she 18. That tells you how old y'all are. But it's like to see that example of like you don't hear about that. And I talked about that at your wedding. It's like you don't hear that. Like you hear, single mother, blah blah blah. Mother's Day, you've been my father, you've been whatever.
Yeah.
But Father's Day, you can get into anywhere. Applebee's maybe the only thing that's back, but it's like it's good news out there, man. It's like man, give us a token or something. But to see how DC was and how great of a job that he did, man, I was like, that's legit. That's cool to see, man. Like that is really like neat to be associated with this guy. That's doing that in DC because it was like, that's Mina's dead. It was like,
I didn't have an identity.
right?
I didn't have an identity when I got to EC. It was all about who's the guy with the kid.
Right.
Then it was like, that's Mina's dad. And then finally, that's Damien, DC.
Right.
It took a long time for my name to come out.
Nah, but just to see that, man, it's just, we play such an important role. And one thing that we don't do enough, is easy for women to get around and talk and depend on each other, but it's so hard for guys to do it, right? We're usually, let me speak for myself, let me not generalize, but we were just talking about that. I'm quiet, close, people that know me like, nah, he ain't nowhere near, but it's just, if I'm around people, I'm very visual.
Yep.
I watch first, I'm like studying, that's just who I am. I'm like trying to looking at, okay, I see he want to peep, he talk a lot, or he, you know what I mean? That's just me, and I figure out the lay of the land first, and then I always position myself. So it's like, but to have guys that you can, because so often we keep too much in, right? My wife is a therapist. We've been to therapy before for issues. I'm a strong advocate of that, talking, but it's just important for us to. It's like it's therapy, right? Just to be able to talk about different things And it's not always, I mean, it could just be, hey man, I'm stressed. Like pandemic was tough, which it was. You know, it was tough for a lot of people, and thank God that we're still here because a lot of people's circle looks a lot different.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They got people like going from this circle, and still praying for everybody that has lost somebody doing that. But you know, I just think this is important, man. Like it's important to talk, and you know, it was just, it's good to talk about kind of the program and kind of the importance of that. Because even if that's somebody that, you know, like watches, like a young guy and says, man, it's just find one. Like, you know, if anything, it's like find the one. Like there's somebody. There's a nephew, there's a cousin's son, there's somebody.
There's
just
somebody.
Find the one. And it's like you don't have to have it all together to be able to help somebody else. You know what I mean? You can be just as messed up and broken, be working on yourself. But there's good that we can give somebody else. Right. Either it's, and my thing was, you know, I didn't want everything that I taught somebody to be, don't do what I did. Right? Because growing up, I had a lot of, don't do what I did. And my thing used to be like, what am I supposed to do then? Like,
that's huge.
You know what I mean? Like somebody do something to show me what I'm supposed to do. It can't be, I know not to do there. I know not to go right, but what direction do I go?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's important to have that balance of, you know, don't do this, but this is what I did, and this is what helped me.
But I don't want to minimize the effect that we had on each other.
Right.
One of the things that you used to always tell the young cats was, think long term. And that always stuck with me. Because, I mean, it's so easy to look at a situation or be in the midst of a situation and you ain't thinking about how this is going to pan out down the road. But that think long term always stuck with me. And then just to see the drive that everybody had, that pushed me to want better for myself.
Exactly.
You know, it got to a point where I'm at work. I'm like, I'm tired of throwing packets. I need to do something different. You know, and so I started doing something else, and then it gets to a point where it's cool teaching classes, but I want to do something different. And so, and even now, I've been in my current position with the post office, my current spot, like about a year and a half. I'm still trying to figure, okay, now what's my next move from here? Because just like you got a promotion. You got promotion. We all do different stuff. You be like, okay, not so much you want to keep up with your boys, but it's just something inside of you that's pushing you to drive each other to keep excelling, and that's huge.
Exactly.
That's so huge and important. I think, you know, I appreciate you all for that because I think we push each other.
And again, like I said, it's no competition, and it's not like we're trying to one up each other, but we love each other. We want to see each other succeed, and we all just want to be able to build something together. And that's what it's all about. And you used to say, you know, talking about our impact on each other. You used to always say, deal with your problems, or they're gonna one day deal with you.
It's true. Yeah.
And I always, you know, thought about that, and I always keep that in mind to think about if there's any, you know, past trauma in my life that, you know, I see that I can be triggered by, and say, okay, no, that's something from the past that I need to work on. And not project that on my wife or project that on my family, and that's something that I need to deal with, and that I need to ask God to help me sort through, so that I can be able to process this in a healthy manner, emotionally and mentally. And yeah, you saying, you know, deal with your problems so they deal with you is huge. And a lot of the kids that we had, they all had some type of trauma, and even the ones that had, you know, both parents in the home, we don't know the dynamic that their parents have. So even though they had both parents in the home, you don't know if their parents are not talking to each other. So they don't know what, you know, a good marriage is supposed to look like or anything like that. Even though that none of us were married at the time, we could at least show them that this is what, you know, this is how men should communicate with one another and whatnot. And so I already told y'all on the text, you know, I love y'all, and you know, with me getting my promotion and stuff like that, it's all because of, you know, I did work hard for it, but I just want to be like y'all. You know what I mean? We our circle is so progressive, and we love each other, and we just want each other to succeed. And like, it's very important that you get involved with the right people, because my life would be so much different if I, number one, hadn't joined DC, and then number two, if I hadn't met y'all, and that's real talk. I probably would still be okay, but I don't think I would be where I am now if I didn't have EC and y'all. And I thank God every day for that, because it's, you know, when you sit back and just think about what your life could have been if certain instances didn't happen, it's like, man, I'm blessed. And it's like, I'm so glad, you know, I listened to the Lord and like walked in the steps and did what I was supposed to do, and not, you know, go my own way. Like I said, I could have been like, nah, Justin's an a-hole. I'm not fooling with Justin, and you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And then I wouldn't you know be in this group, and I would be, you know, searching for an identity. And I think that's another thing about what our group is, that we appreciate each other's identity. We don't try to make each other the same, and we don't try to get each other to act a certain way. We accept each other for who we are, and we love each other, and we let us be us. You know what I'm saying? I'm Porter, DC, Gary, Justin, and it's just a beautiful thing to have, you know, a group like this, because it's something that not a lot of people have, and not a lot of men have. You know what I'm saying? Because we are vulnerable with each other, and we help each other grow. So I'm just so thankful for, you know, the ministry and SOG and you fellas, man. It's been a real blessing.
Appreciate y'all, man. Appreciate y'all for hanging out. Amir, we didn't give you no time, man.
What's up?
All right, so so appreciate y'all for kicking it, man. And I think if anything, it's just like, you know, from what we talked about with SOG, our personal experiences. To wrap it up, the action item is go get the one. Like, go find somebody,
100%.
go get that one.
Definitely.
Go mentor them. Again, you don't have to be what you expect yourself to be. Don't be so hard on yourself, but there's something that you have to give somebody else. A road that you went through, or a road that you went down that was not a good road, help that person avoid that. Something that you did was positive, help that person do that. But just go get the one. Appreciate it. Till next time.